Welcome to your basic bead embroidery sandwich with Mary Tafoya. When we talk about bead embroidery, we're basically talking about using a needle and thread to sew beads onto some kind of surface. If you don't know much about beadwork or bead embroidery, you can find out a lot more about beads, beading needles, beading thread, tutorials, books by searching the internet or checking with your local bead store or bead society. So today I'm going to concentrate on talking about how bead embroidery projects are generally constructed. The surface you bead on can be anything you can poke a needle through. I like Lacey's Stiff Stuff or Sova's bead backing, which is a thick non-woven polyester sheet that's very easy to cut and stitch through, but it won't tear. And it's stiff enough to not flop around much as you work either, meaning you don't have to use a bead embroidery hoop or an embroidery hoop. And you can also sew beads onto fabric, of course, or ultra suede, which comes in beautiful colors, or real leather, which is our traditional beading surface here in North America. And stiffened felt or stiff felt or easy felt for crafters is a very affordable option that comes in lots of colors. You can even use artist canvas. When you stitch beads to the beading surface, the back tends to get a little messy. You have knots, snags, stitches that are very vulnerable to breakage, and they're not pretty to look at. So you usually need to come up with some kind of backing, and this protects the surface and it beautifies the piece. It's a nice finishing touch. I like to use ultra suede, but you can use leather, fabric, anything that's sturdy enough to cover and protect the stitching. Most of the time you just cut the backing the same size as your beading surface and then stitch the layers together along the edges. You can use a running stitch, blanket stitch, or any beaded edging. So this is your basic bead embroidery sandwich. You've got two layers with the beads on top. But most bead embroidery projects are going to need a little extra reinforcement. For jewelry such as brooches, earrings, neck pieces, you can stabilize the beadwork with thin sheet metal, a plastic coffee can lid cut down to size, or any other lightweight but thin and sturdy material. Cut down a little bit smaller than the rest of the sandwich. So when I make cuff bracelets, for example, I put a brass bracelet blank in between the beadwork and the backing. And in addition, I sometimes add a pin back for brooches or some kind of hanging loop, which I sew inside the middle of the sandwich somewhere, poking out the edges. So this is it. Whether you're making a large wall hanging or teeny tiny earrings, these are the basic ingredients of a bead embroidery sandwich. For more serious fun with beadwork, visit my blog at www.seriousbeader.blogspot.com.